So we are going back to a very important topic in the modern era, a very important tool in modern era, psychometrics. You might be familiar with the word biometrics. You might have gone to take Aadhaar and gave your biometric measurements. Biometrics means measurement of your bodily aspects for identification of a particular person or profiling of a particular person. You might have given your thumb impression, your retina scan, so that they can identify you. In the same way, psychometrics, the word itself implies it's a measurement of your psyche, your mind, your consciousness, or who you are according to your mental measurements. This was a field that was developed in the late 1800s in University of Cambridge. Sir Francis Galton is known as the father of psychometrics. He was inspired by the great Charles Darwin. Carl Gustav Jung, the famous disciple of the legendary Sigmund Freud, was a person who gave the structure and soul to psychometrics in such a modern way. And Vivekananda, in Indian psychological context, Vivekananda codified psychometrics, imbibing the spirit of centuries, and Vivekananda implied and inspired a vision of psychometry of Indian psychology and Indian philosophy. Now coming to what psychometrics is. Psychometrics is measuring your mind. Psychometrics is understanding different mental tendencies you have. It is psychology in action. For example, I'll start with a question in order so that I can convey the message more. Let me ask you, with the risk of oversimplifying, just in order to put the idea across. Imagine you are alone for a day. You are alone for a day, your all other engagements are cancelled. You have 4 options to do. What would you like to do? You are alone, you have an entire day. What are the different options you would explore? Will you go for reading a non-fiction book? That's your first option. Second, will you go for a very emotional kind of a movie, very good, emotional, romantic kind of a movie? Third, will you go for some kind of an adventure travel, some kind of a travel to adventure places, trekking kind of a thing? You are all doing it alone, no one else with you. Or would you sit down, contemplate, look into yourself, maybe write poetry? These are the 4 options you have. Tell me, which would you choose? First one, will you go for a non-fiction book? Second one, will you go for a very romantic, emotional kind of a movie? Third one, would you go for adventure travel? The fourth one, will you sit introverted, and will you go for writing a poetry? If you are a non-fiction book kind of a person, you can be called. I would again say this is oversimplification, because we usually use a set of 20 to 40 questions to correctly assess the personality type of a person. But I'm just conveying it so that you can get the idea and you can take the test later. If you are a non-fiction book kind of a person, the chances are that you are more of a fact man. If you are going for a picnic, if you are going for a very adventurous, active, energetic kind of trekking, adventure travel, the chances are that you are more of an action man. If you are going for writing a poetry, contemplating, introspecting, looking into yourself, the chances are more that you are more of a concept kind of a person. And if you are going for a very emotional kind of a movie, a Veer Zara kind of a movie, or the Shah Rukh Khan's Devdas kind of a movie, the probability that you are more of an emotional man is more. So people world over, the billions of people you see in this planet, your father, your mother, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, everyone among you can be divided into 4. All those people who are seeing me, including me, can be divided into these 4 categories: fact, action, concept. In Indian psychology, Vivekananda used to call it Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. These are the 4 orientations we have. Fact men are more fact-oriented, knowledge-oriented, structured, systematic, disciplined, kind of conservative, orthodox, conventional values, respectful of heritage. These are the fact-oriented people. Action-oriented people, as the name suggests, are more of the action-oriented, energetic kind of people who would do less talking and more acting, who would do less debating and discussing and more of doing, the action-oriented kind of people. The concept-oriented kind of people are people who introspect, people who can write poetry, people who can think about the subtleties of life more than the other three categories. They are the concept-oriented kind of people, dhyana-oriented kind of people according to Vivekananda's interpretation of Indian psychology. And the emotion people, as we all know, the name suggests they are more of the emotional kind. They connect more with the people, they gel well with the people, they are a bit sensitive, touchy kind of a people. Every one of our people, every human being has all these four tendencies in them. Some tendencies will manifest more, some tendencies will manifest less. Some will be more expressed, some will be less expressed. This is the only difference. It is not the case that one person will not have fact at all. No. It is not the case that one person will be 100% emotional. No. It's a combination out of a score of 100, and every category will have a 25 percentage point. You will all have this fact, action, concept, emotion kind of a person, but there will be increases and decreases in the different proportions we have. In order to convey it very easily to you, we will take two personalities, our two prime ministers, Dr. Manmohan Singh and the present Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi. You can imagine by a little amount of understanding of psychometrics what kind of a personality profile is Sri Narendra Modi and Sri Manmohan Singh. Two are very eminent. One is a very eminent economist, one is a very eminent administrator, two prime ministers of India. And remember, every person will have a primary tendency and a secondary tendency. Let us imagine what the primary tendency of Dr. Manmohan Singh is. Is he more of an action-oriented person? Is he more of a combative kind of a person? Confrontational kind of a person? Does he engage in active debates? No, but he is one of the most knowledgeable prime ministers of premiers or any nation can ever have. Out of the 193 nations in the world, we had the great fortune to have perhaps the most knowledgeable PM of all. Even American President Barack Hussein Obama respects. No, studied in the London School of Economics and sharpened by the Western education. Dr. Manmohan Singh is a person who has changed India through his LPG policies. But Manmohan Singh ji, as you have rightly guessed by now, is more of a fact concept person. He is a person who is best suited for an essay. He is a person who is best suited for a scholarly article. He is a person who is best suited with statistics, figures, data, everything that a pundit needs, everything that a fact concept man needs. Now let us come to Narendra Modi, the present Prime Minister. Is he a person who you will approach for writing a doctorate thesis? No. But he is a person who can inspire maybe 1,000 or 10,000 or a lakh of congregation. He is a person who speaks with passion, speaks with vigor. He speaks of action. He speaks of what he has done and what he can do. Manmohan Singh ji will speak more of what has been done, the data. He will try to avoid the personal element and he will bring in the philosophical, psychological, economic kind of an perspective, a non-personal perspective. But whatever Manmohan Singh ji is, Narendra Modi ji is just the opposite of that. He is more of an action emotion person. He will speak with vigor. He will shout and chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai or Vande Mataram. He will make people sway in his way. He is an excellent orator, communicator. In short terms, we can see Manmohan Singh ji is more of a fact concept person, whereas the present PM is more of an action emotion person. Every person, if you take in world history, can be categorized as a primary tendency in one thing and secondary tendency in another thing. Now coming to your field, management, application of this very good institution who inspires innovative thoughts in you. How can psychometrics be applied in your daily life? Because psychometrics is psychology in action. Psychometrics is psychology in management. It is applied psychology that can benefit you in everyday life. Your wife, your husband, your teacher, your boss, your friends, if you are having conflicts with them, if you are having issues with them, it is mainly because we don't understand the psychometrics of another person. We don't understand the psychology of another person. For example, in my life, my wife's name is Deepa. We had one TV in our home. She is a regular serial kind of a viewer. I call her serial killer. She watches all the serials in Star TV, the colors stuff. I want to watch all the news in the channels. She calls me a news killer because I keep on watching news. From 7:30 to 10, she wants to see the serial, which is more of emotion action content. And serial for a normal man in India is news. Serial for a normal man in India is Arnab Goswami. There is more drama in our news channels than in our serials. So I would like to watch more of the factual content, more of the news kind of a content. 7:30 to 10, we used to regularly fight, and I used to blame and condemn my wife Deepa in asking, "What are you viewing? What is the whole merit of seeing Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi? What is the whole, Balika Bathu? What is the whole is Pyar Ko Main Kya Na Bathu? What is there in it? These are just fiction. Somebody is writing this. What is the whole charm in seeing this?" My wife used to ask me back, "What are you seeing? If I am seeing some gossips in serials, you are seeing gossips in news. What's the whole qualitative difference? You are seeing who said what. That's the same thing I'm seeing. I am also seeing who said what. Mine is more of fictional characters. Yours is more of real people. What's the whole difference?" So at last, I would have a snowball in saying that, "Deepa, you don't have intellectual capacity enough. That's the reason why you don't see news." And my wife used to blame me and say, "You don't have emotional, sensitive aspect. That's the reason why you don't see such serials which exposes human emotions." At last, we ended up, rather than we ended up being separate, we ended up having different TVs so that I can watch news. I can watch news and she can watch her serials. She is more of an action emotion kind of a person. I am more of a fact concept kind of a person. Of course, this is overgeneralization. I'm just trying to communicate the idea so that you can understand. Now, what's the application of psychometrics in our daily life? Now comes to the second point, which is a very core point: leader versus manager. Everyone should have an element of leadership in them and element of being a manager or management skills in them. But what can be the major difference between the leader and manager? Leader inspires, manager motivates. Leader will put forward a vision. A manager is more inclined to a mission. Of course, they should deal with these both. But leader has a charisma. Manager has more of a personal touch and management skills. A leader should be more of a manager than a manager being a leader, because leadership involves an element of managing of people and other things. But manager need not be a person who will stand in front and who will fight a war. Manager is a person who is more of a person who can arrange things to their team, who can take care of the team. He should have more of a personal touch. Everyone should be a leader and manager at some core, but leadership and management has their own differentiation. The topic given to me was leader versus manager. I would like to humbly reframe it as leader plus manager. There is a whole difference between leader versus manager and leader plus manager. Let's be honest about this. Everyone cannot have every skill at the same time. Everyone need not be blessed and everyone need not have the opportunity to nurture every other skill. So we should understand our personality type more. We should understand how we can nurture them. So leader has a different connotation. I would say leader is a much more of a bigger concept than a manager. But manager is a very essential concept too, because he can hold the organization together. It's something like a mechanism where there should be a balance between both. And let's come to the different roles of a manager and a leader. A leader, more often than not, is a great orator because he has to influence maximum number of people, either by speech, either by leading by example. Leader deals with more people as a charisma, but manager always should have a personal touch. Interpersonal skill set is the core skill set of a manager. This can be a great difference. Interpersonal skill set need not be the greatest skill of a leader. For example, if you are down in south, we can know in Kerala's former chief minister Sri V.S. Achyutanandan, Comrade Achyutanandan, or the PM Narendra Modi right now. I'm taking famous examples so that you will get the connection. They both are not very team player kind of a person. He lives alone in a place. He hardly connects with people. But PM is a great leader. Kerala CM is a great leader. He inspires vision, talks. He can inspire thousands and 10,000s of people. But they may not be good managers per se. They may not be good organizers per se. They won't return your call when you call. No, they won't call you back and say that we will have to arrange all those stuffs. But manager will have to take care of the nitty-gritties. For a manager, the great dictum is divine or devil line the details. A manager should be precisely detail oriented. He is not only moving the mind of a person, he has to get the person as a resource person so that you can know the pulse of the organization. There are different sets of key words associated with leadership and management. As we have seen earlier, vision belongs more to the leader, mission belongs more to the manager. Interpersonal skill set is a key word in the manager paradigm or the manager domain, and charisma is more of a core word in the leadership paradigm or leadership domain. And coming to management, what's management? Management is applied psychology. Management is psychology in action. All the management can be divided into three: self-management, people management, and resource management. All the other things are byproducts or different tangents, different aspects of this. Many of you might naturally ask, is there not something called time management? Yes, there is time management, but remember, at the core of it, time management is self-management. Time management is activity management. So management is a skill that we need to develop. Managing oneself, managing others, managing resources would be the three key areas where we have to operate upon. And a manager need not be a great philosopher or a vision giver. Manager need not be a great intellectual. Manager need not be a person who knows the history, who can inspire, who's charismatic. That's the reason why we hardly hear the terminology charismatic manager. Hardly does people use the word charismatic manager. They always use the word charismatic leader. In association with manager, what's the word that we usually use? You can imagine. All those who are listening to me, what might be the good adjective of a manager? He is a able manager. He is a capable manager. So capability, ability forms the core set of a manager as we see it. So these are the broad parameters. Now let's take a quick psychometric understanding so that you will know how to apply this. And remember 2 or 3 core principles of psychometrics in action. 1, there is every tendency in every human being. Of these 4 tendencies, every human being has these 4 tendencies. But having said that, some people will have more fact, some people may have more concept, some people may have more emotion, some people may have more action. There will be an increase and decrease of these. Second point, there will be a primary tendency, there will be a secondary tendency. There will be a combination of these 2 tendencies. This is measured by tests like FITS, FACE, Indian corporates use it, Territorial Army use it. I have read somewhere that Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, perhaps one of the greatest Indians we have, was rejected by Territorial Army because he had his psychometrics didn't go well with the Territorial Army. It was said this Territorial Army head, the Army Jawan, the Army Colonel or Major told Abdul Kalam, you have great head, but we don't want a great head. We need good hands and good legs. We need people who can shoot. We need people who can run. We need people who can capture. We need people who can fight. But you are a person with great head. You are a policy maker. You are a person who can decide when to shoot, but you may not be good enough to shoot. So psychometrics doesn't mean one person is bad. Psychometrics only means one person is good in something, and we have to identify it. How many more minutes? Psychometrics is the ability to understand that particular aspect where we should be creating check on it. Right now you might have seen me asking, what is the duration of time that's left? It's because I belong to more of fact area, I belong to more of concept area. You might have seen many speakers who will go on hours and hours and hours. They are more of the action emotion kind of persons. They will keep less tab of time. But I am a person who will be more precise to it because my basic core will be more of the timely oriented stuff, so that I can be more systematic in presenting, I can be more time bound in presenting. And my request to you is the core and the fundamental aspect of every management, every MBA graduate, every engineering graduate, and every discipline should have a basic understanding of psychometrics, because that's what will help you in assessing, evaluating, understanding, and even empathizing with an individual. If you are a manager, many a times we see many people underperforming in some area. We have to understand the reality. More than underperforming in an area, that area might not suit this individual well. So when you understand a person's potential, a person's profile, a person's possibility in a particular area, you will be a definite great manager, because you can have more scientific and apt resource management. As I've taken an example earlier, if you are going to give Prime Minister Narendra Modi an opportunity to write a research article or to do a doctorate thesis, I'm absolutely not sure how successful he will be in it. And if you are going to assign a duty of moving masses, to giving an inspiring speech in an election rally to Dr. Manmohan Singh, I am really doubtful how efficient that would be. The reason being, their personality types are different, their administrative abilities are different, and I assume that more people listening to me will be of the Indian origin. If you even take the Indian history, let us take some leaders so that the psychometric profiling can easily be established. Let us take Gandhiji, let's take Nehru, let's take Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Let us remember what we have understood of them from the history books we have read, from the movies we have seen. Nehru is a person who is more of a beautiful orator. Nehru is a person who is a wordsmith. He can write beautiful articles, he can write great letters, he is a person who is more fact-oriented. He has written a lot of books, he is a concept man, he can be very theoretical, he can have great theories, history, understanding, but he is never known as the Iron Man of India. The Iron Man of India is a person who has hardly written any book, who is hardly known for any inspiring speech, who is hardly known for anything philosophical. He has never written Discovery of India, but in effect he has unified India. He is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a person who is specialized in action. Let me take an example from our history, the Hyderabad liberation. The Hyderabad liberation, Nehruji and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was always in conflict. How to resolve this issue? Nehruji believed in discussion, Nehruji believed in debate, Nehruji believed in engagement, Nehruji believed in writing letters, and he thought of moving ahead. Of course, that's a very right way, democratic way, kind of a very civil, modern way. But when Nehruji was out of India for 2 weeks, Sardar Patel decided to go to Hyderabad, ensure a police and army action to get things done. So in one word, the fact concept, these are the more aligned thought processes. That means fact, and of course there can be fact emotion people, there can be fact concept people, there can be fact action people, but more aligned with the tendencies are fact concept together and action emotion together. So fact concept people will be people who are more interested in discussions, debates, thinking, writing, and action emotion people will be people who are more interested in doing things, getting things done. Let us do stuff. These are the kind of people we usually see. For example, the growth of Aam Aadmi Party. They project themselves, like they position themselves as people who can get things done in a fast manner. Enough of discussion. Let us get things done. These are the kind of patterns we can see in politics, in faith, in spirituality, in management, and every other arena in human life. And I would like to come to a conclusion by saying biometrics is the base of identifying an individual. Your fingerprints, your retina scan are absolutely independent individual identification of you. In the same way, your psychometric score, your psychometric understanding, your psychometric profile is a very profound, is a very in-depth, is a very psychologically reliable tool to understand yourself. And many a times, more than the overtly seen biometrical aspects, the subtle, the in-depth, the invisible psychometric aspect of a person need to be explored. Please do spend more time on psychometrics. When you understand psychometrics, you understand yourself better. When you understand psychometrics, you understand others better. Psychometrics is a tool which is developed, which is more and more scientifically sharpened in the last 20-25 years. Is going to be one of the most important, efficient tool in the coming years. Corporates, MBA institutes, educational institutes, Indian Army, intelligence agencies and agencies around the world are going to rely more and more on psychometrics. So I request you should psychometrics on a very philosophical language. Psychometrics is a journey into yourself. Psychometrics is a pilgrimage into yourself. It's a pilgrimage into understanding the in-depth psychological, the in-depth philosophical, the in-depth even a kind of metaphysical understanding of you. So understand yourself, understand others, understand the world better, because understanding is a key aspect that we are all searching for. May you have great understanding and prosperity in life. God bless. Jai Hind.